My name is Justin Myers. I am the Director of Expansion for Grid. I've been running our Grid community here in Knoxville with my partner Corey King for the last 3 years. Also, I've built some other communities around real estate, built a young professionals community here. We started a nonprofit organization called Pints for Purpose here in Knoxville. So we've been able to build, and then in a previous life, I've been able to organize not only some local communities, but get really involved with national real estate communities, right? Plan events, curriculum, things for them. So I've had a lot of experience in doing this. What we're going to talk about today is specifically, though, how to build a real estate investor community, right? Why do we want to do this? We want to generate leads, and leads, no matter what you're doing in the investing space, right? We need some sort of lead flow. Leads are opportunities. So let's think about that. To generate opportunities, to build relationships, and to create wealth, right? I think wealth is a great one because it's got multiple definitions. So if you got a passion for creating wealth through real estate, you're in the right room. If you want to grow your database and meet other real estate investors, builders, developers who can provide you with multiple transactions, you're in the right room. If you want to help clients build wealth, I know there's some agents on the call here, in the right room. If you want to grow your influence and learn more about real estate investing, you've got an opportunity. I have benefited immensely from building a referral network around the country, and I have the opportunity and presented with opportunities to invest all over the country. Just got a great one, actually. If anyone's looking for a 1%, greater than a 1% deal right now, just got sent one from Springfield yesterday, actually. So DM in the comments if you want to see that. We'll send it over to you. It's our Grid Springfield co-leader sent that over to us. Looked really, really strong. Partner Corey was looking at it yesterday. If you're at a place, you have a real estate business and you want to add verticals, right? I want to vertically integrate because I'm already transacting, and how could I capture more revenue with the same amount of opportunities? So if you're interested in building property management, construction, and investments, this is going to work for you. And this has worked for us as well. If you want to attract talent to your brokerage or your team, building a community can be a really powerful magnet for people to come experience the culture of your organization, right, before they get involved. So already briefly introduced myself. Very curious to hear about y'all on the call as well. We've built Grid over the last 3 years. We started with 12 people on a Zoom call 3 years ago, our little investing community. We currently have 1,424 members in our Facebook group. We didn't really start focusing on Facebook until we were 2 years in. So when we were 2 years in, last May, I looked up at our Facebook group. We decided to move locations. We've been hosting it in our office. We wanted to go to a bigger location. And when we did that, we had 150 in the room. So we've grown from 150 in May of 2023 to 1,424 today here in August. We also have a meetup. We use the meetup platform for Grid. So we got 548 members on meetup as well. There's some overlap there. However, not what meetup's attractive is lots of people aren't on social media, and meetup is publicly facing. So if you haven't looked at it, it's an event platform very similar to Eventbrite. So the group has grown there as well. So why are we doing this? Here's the play, like here's how all this started, how I got involved, I should say. So I met Rob Chavez in 2019. I went to a real estate conference. He was on stage. He was talking about psychographic hyperlocal marketing. Really fancy sounding, right? Really impressive. What psychographic marketing is looking at a demographic. And the demographic could be a specific like avatar. And how do you dominate the mind share of that individual, right? So maybe that's the agent investor. I heard someone say DC burbs. It's getting into, maybe it's not just someone in the DC burbs. Maybe we're getting more specific. Hey, I wanted to connect with double income, no kids, business professionals, right? Who are interested in investing, who may work in the federal government, right? Or I want to go dominate, this local neighborhood, right? And I want to own that mind share. Either of those could work really effectively. Nick, feel free to leave your camera on. I'd love to have at least one person I could see. It would be awesome. I've seen a couple people pop up and go away. Um, but how could I affect those? So I went and had lunch with Rob, and he told, he presented about grid. And here's the story. They started this 17 years ago. So Rob was trying to solve a couple things. Hey, how do I build a database quickly? Like I become an agent, I was an investor, and I got my license just to get referrals off transactions. And then once I had it, started thinking about ways I could monetize my license, right? So if you've ever done whatever game you're in the investing side, there is some sort of lead generation, whether you're a wholesaler, a fix and flipper, a buy and holder, you're a residential agent, right? All of those are going to involve some form of me actively going out to generate opportunities. So how can I get them to come quickly to me? How can I get people to come to me instead of me having to go to them? Can I find people that do more than one deal a year so I could just build deeper relationships? What could I do to actually provide value? And then as I'm doing that, like, how do I not lose my focus on generating wealth, right? Because I'm just going out and trying to find deals and do real estate activity. And that could be the same for whatever else you're doing. If you've got another venture, a business, a W-2, something else, right? And so the thought was, well, maybe I can create an investment group, something that I always wanted to be a part of and couldn't find. So we started Grid 17 years ago. Now, why am I involved as director of expansion for Grid? It's a couple different reasons. I'm curious, drop it in the chat here. Like, why is everyone on this call? Like, why are you interested in real estate investing? Is it financial freedom? Is it retirement? Is it leaving something for your kids? Like, what about real estate investing motivates you to get involved? Or what on there? All of the above. I love it. Okay. I'd say for me, the biggest thing, this is a long drive. I think all of these are true. The single biggest one would be impact, right? Is really motivating to me. When we look at the 7 levels of freedom we talk about in Grid, or if you look at Maslow's hierarchy, self-actualization, whatever, always really motivated by the concept of impact. That's really exciting to me. Connection. I'd say the biggest thrill that I get if I look at what personally rewards me when I'm doing things in a real estate transaction is when I'm able to provide a solution or a problem, but most especially when I'm able to connect two people. Like the problems that excite me the most are the ones that can be solved by people or systems. So when you've got a problem, when I can say, hey, oh my gosh, you got to go talk to Suzanne. You're going to love her. I can make a warm connection and you're able to go do something effectively together. That's really exciting. I get to consult, right? I get to strategize. And I'm excited by the idea of building something that benefits all. Like when I've got a community, an effective community is something that lifts all ships. Like everyone's able to, if I create something with a high level of trust, they're able to transact together. We're able to build a community full of different levels of stratification. So people are able to climb the rungs of the ladder to wealth. So all the things really excite me. And I just love connecting with people. I like the challenge of learning new people. So that's why I do this. I'd be curious to see why everyone else does this. So that started 17 years ago. Rob started doing Grid 17 years ago. Over time, he grew, expanded it, was asked to license this about 10 years ago. Was the first time we asked to license this. Had 15 communities in the Metro DC area, and now we've grown all across the country. So we've got Grid LA is going to be launching soon. We've launched Grid Nashville. I don't see it reflected on this map, but we have a grid in Charlotte, North Carolina, talking to some folks in some areas around there as well. Greensboro, South Carolina. Open a location in Fort Lauderdale as well. And we have one in Orlando. So still looking to open more. Hopefully we'll see 30 more open in the next 12 months. Great. So how do you do this, right? warm up, let's get down to the meat of this. So practically, how could you build an agent investor community that could generate millions of dollars in revenue? And we've seen this happen consistently over time while helping you build wealth. Even if you don't feel qualified, or you don't have the resources, or you're not sure, how do I attract people? I have something of value, but I'm not that person, right, who's naturally an attractor. I'm not that person that is going out, and then I might be a little more introverted, and that's okay. It can be effective when I adopt the role of a facilitator. I've seen people do that, right? Takes us exactly there. So the one thing, if I'm laying a cornerstone, remember, right? A cornerstone is the first stone we lay when we're building a building, right? It's what the entire structure is built off of. So the most important cornerstone is, how can I create raving fans? What makes a community a community? It's the feel, it's the culture, right? We all know this. Your kids go to a new school, you move to a new area, you follow a team, you're part of some sort of a community, right? I come in and maybe I show up differently because of the emotional feel of that community, right? So the old model is a RIA. A RIA is people in the front of the room. It's a guru. Why are they there? We're going to give you a little bit of information, and you need to buy my tapes or buy my course or pay for a consultation, right? The opposite approach that we've taken is, how do we create real relationships with people that want to bring me deals, right? My job is not to be the guru. I don't need to be the expert on everything. I can bring experts in on subjects. My job is to be an amazing facilitator, right? Facilitating learning, facilitating education, facilitating the creation of relationships inside of the group, right? And when you do that, really amazing things start to happen. Like when we show up with generosity, our people show up with generosity. So how do we do this? Well, it comes down to marketing. I don't know if anyone considers themselves a natural marketer, but I'm going to give you some free marketing advice. Everything that you do that is considered marketing needs to have a call to action, right? If I have, my logo here, I'm wearing a logo of a brand, right? LaCroix, that's branding, right? I can show you a picture of this. I could do an ad with this. Selfie Instagram, I'm an influencer. That's a branding play. If I want marketing, I need a hook. I need something that's going to elicit a response from my audience. So everything that I do needs to elicit a response from my audience. So a lost dog poster is really effective marketing. It might not look great, might not be great branding, right? But you know exactly there's a reward. Here's the picture of the dog. Here's how I take action. And it's very clear what the poster is asking me to do. So we did the same thing. What are hooks that we know get a response from the investor community? And so you see, Rob set out, hey, I'm going to lay out a series for a year of the most popular topics that I know people would show up to hear that. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to give everything away that we know. Hold nothing back. We're going to be an open book. Answer all the questions. Melissa, Arena got a copy of this recording. Yes, this should be hosted in the Facebook chat, and I will make sure to email you a copy of the recording, Melissa, as well. I've got your email address, so I can get a copy of that over to you. Ria is on this chat, so we'll make sure we get that for you. If you got any questions at all, drop it in the chat. So keep that in mind, whatever you're doing. If I'm communicating to my audience, and however you're keeping in touch with whomever your audience is, whether it's your friends, your family, the people on your social media that need to know, hey, you buy houses, there's got to be some kind of a hook. Hey, I just looked at this falling down dump. Do you know anybody, that's got, have you seen any homes with overgrown lawns? Call me if you see one, right? Whatever that is, but I need some sort of a hook to get them to take action. But I don't have to be the expert. What I have to be able to do is tell stories, captivate my audience, and relate it back to the things that really deeply motivate them, right? Who is my audience that I'm trying to get in the room? How can I motivate them to? What I'm looking to do is to build an army of bird dogs, right? We all know what a bird dog is. That can be real estate agents, those are investors. We want people that are going to want to bring opportunities to us. And how do we do that? Well, I become the resource. Here's what I found. If I can get you to come into a room and listen to Corey and I on stage for an hour or two, you're very likely to allow me to consult with you, right? And what's my real value proposition? The value proposition for all of us, right, is I care about people and I'm here to solve problems. Then I need to have a marketing funnel or something to tell you what kind of problems I'm here to solve. I do creative financing. I'm a rehabber. I offer cash deals. So if you know someone that needs a quick cash close, I could do that. So the more specific you are about what you want, what you're asking for, the more successful you're going to be. All right. We got a couple books here. Go Giver is talking about how do I just give, and the law of reciprocity says it's going to come back to me. People are going to ask. And Gary Vaynerchuk's got a great book, Jab, 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 Right Hook, right? I'm coming from value. I'm coming from value. I'm coming from value. And then I'm making some kind of an ask of my audience. Coming from value, coming from value, coming from value. We're building social currency. And what are we doing really? We're building influence. Influence is the inverse of manipulation, right? I want to know what my audience needs to know, what the person on the other side of the negotiating table, what motivates them, right? Now, if I'm looking to be influential in their lives, I also want to know those things, but I can use influence in a positive way, right? Talk about positive influences, role models we've had in our lives. So I want to get clarity on that, build social currency. And the more social currency I have, the more that I can help. So how do we determine our audience? How do I determine who am I speaking to? Because when I get clear on who I'm speaking to, it becomes clear on who am I tailoring and how do I reach those people who may have different needs. On this call, we've got a variety of different people. I know we've got some brand new agents. As a Nick Rich, if you don't mind dropping in the chat where you're from and what your role is, I'd love that, just so I can get some more context and who we're speaking to. I know I saw you jump in, I appreciate it, right? But when I get clarity on the different roles available, then I can get clarity on how am I communicating to that person and what are they looking to get out of the group. Often these people are going to be complementary, which makes it easier to connect those dots, right? When I do that, I can do a win-win agreement. So when people are coming to invest, and I think Suzanne said it, right? I'm looking for something different. When I asked, why do you invest? It was all of the above, right? Legacy, wealth, freedom. Everybody really wants a deal. So they're looking for some kind of a motivated seller. But why do they want this, right? They want a better life. They want time, money, freedom, better relationships. Got a couple great pictures here. This is a young professionals group right here. This picture in the center. I organized a trip for us to Universal. It's a way of building social currency. I volunteered to be in charge of organizing that trip for everybody as a way to give back, right? But also when you do that, like you build social currency, it's a very pro-social way to just meet people and be of service to them, build referral relationships. And I love this picture here. We did with our group a mountaintop mastermind. Corey wanted to go hiking, and I said, you know what? Let's invite some people, and we're going to call it a mountaintop mastermind. And what I found is talking about influence, the way that I show up determines how my audience shows up. If I said, hey, do you want to go hiking? Would have got a certain response. If I say, hey, do you want to go on a mountaintop mastermind? People don't exactly know what that is, but they have some token. So then when I ask them, what are you grateful for? What's the word that describes the thing that you want to accomplish this year, right? People open up. And what I heard on that chat was people having really honest conversations with each other as we were hiking up. This is House Mountain here, just outside Knoxville, Tennessee. So we have the ability to influence how our audience shows up, and people in your audience may be that quiet, shy person, maybe looking for the opportunity to really show a different side of themselves. Great. So what are our four types? Let's talk about them really fast. We've got the newbie investor, the active income investor, the buy and hold investor, and we've got private lenders, creative deal makers. Okay. Which type are y'all? I'd love to hear where you are. I know we got some newbie investors in here. So a newbie investor, man, they want a deal. I want to get something. What they really want to get is knowledge and access. If I am brand new, I may not even be ready to invest. There's a concept that we talk about called footprints in the snow. Footprints in the snow is this concept. Let's say we're out, it's a snowstorm, and we're following a path. The snow is falling steadily. I wouldn't want to be following in the tracks of someone that is hours ahead of me. Ideally, I'd want to follow somebody that just was on that path maybe a few minutes before me. They're around the bend, but I can still see their footprints. They haven't been covered up by the passage of time. And it's the same thing when I'm getting started. Man, it's great that this person owns 70 doors or 1,000 doors or bought all this property when interest rates were 3%. But that person that owns one property or two property when I own none can be immensely important. So when I'm brand new, I need some systems and some models and some frameworks upon which to act. So that person is looking for knowledge and access. I'm going to come back to this. There are a lot of ways to serve that person that will strengthen your community. I've got my active income investor. So my active income investor is somebody who is earning active income from investing, not passive income, right? This might be part of their wealth machine, but it's also their cash machine. So like my active income, right, is a real estate agent. And then my passive income are the deals that I'm participating in. Sometimes those can be active, right? But for the most part, my active income is my real estate income. Depending on what category I'm doing in here, I can run active income plays too. So what are they looking for? 30, 60, 90-day cash flow. Hey, I need to get a deal. I'm looking for a flip because I need to get that return because this is actively funding my lifestyle right now. So my active income investor is looking for deals and access to money, but they're also looking for knowledge. How can I do this? And more importantly, how can I do this better and faster? Just because someone's having success, if you take the time to dig into them, you may find they can be doing this a lot more effectively. I found this certainly when I sit down and talk to rehabbers or even builders, developers, they may not be squeezing all the juice. We just negotiated a partnership with a wholesaler where we're taking their leads they haven't converted. So think about that. The biggest cost to a sales business is the cost of unconverted leads. And we've just created an opportunity to add additional revenue from activities they've already done, right? They've already undertaken the task of going out and creating that lead. And now they've come up with a way for them to generate additional revenue from the leads they were unable to convert. So that's a way for them to get 30, 60, 90-day cash flow. And then we've got our buy and hold or our passive income investor. That person has some patience. That could be a function of their personality. It could be a function of where they are in life, right? Maybe they're willing to accept different returns than the active income investor because of time. They have another job, disposition, right? That's someone that wants to build wealth over time. And finally, we've got our private lenders, our creative deal makers. So this is Greg Crane. Greg is a private lender here locally in Knoxville. We've also had, he's here in the background here, Mike Capello, who runs Grid Shenandoah Valley. Mike is an expert on subject twos. So what's attractive to them? Hey, I don't want to be directly, oh my gosh, I'm gonna sneeze, I apologize. Okay. So what's attractive to them is how do I minimize risk and how do I creatively structure a deal? Whether that's with a lease option or a subject to, or, we've got some people locally that really specialize in notes. Thank you, Melissa. I appreciate that. Who specialize in the creation of, there we go. In the creation of notes. What's attractive about that is note creation or lease option. Those are some ways to become less active in my management, right? I don't know if anyone's had the experience on here of being a buy and hold investor and then finding out that I'll let me see a raised hand, that you really have an active job, right? You have to manage that. There's needs. It is far from passive sometimes to own a buy and hold property. Unless it's like a triple net commercial building where you're not touching it. Sometimes those can be very active propositions, right? When we have weather incidents, things like that. Awesome, Rich. Welcome. Great. So you got to be, you're operating in multiple states. So I'm sure you're using some leverage because if you own in all those states, right, you're not managing yourself, but someone there is actively managing those. What's attractive about notes, lease purchases and or owner financing, are there a way to still control that property while generating a more passive stream of income, especially if I get into owner financing and notes, and potentially with lease options, depending on how I've structured that lease option and how I vetted my tenant. There's ways you could do a lease option where you put the responsibility for the maintenance and the upkeep of the home onto that tenant owner, and you recoup enough of a down deposit, a down payment at the time of the lease, or enough of a large non-refundable deposit where you've got some ability to get some leverage, or you got some freedom where things do go sideways, you're taken care of. What they all have in common here, all four of these types of investors, is they all want to create a lead generation machine. So I talked about this at the very beginning, right? Whatever you're doing in real estate investing, you need to have a lead generation machine, right? What's valuable about building a real estate investor community is it becomes a shared marketing platform where everybody is able to make deposits and withdrawals. So to go back, here's what I love about talking about connection. We talked about social currency. If I've got a newbie investor and I've built some relationships where I've got people in the room, like people on this call that have some experience. If this call was in person, we could be doing this here, right? We've got Rich here. If we're looking at the chat, y'all check this out, right? Rich is in the DC area. Now he's an hour outside of Austin. He owns in 4 states. Nick is an agent for 20 years. He's been investing for 4 years. I get the idea. Mitchell's been doing this for a while. Najee is a flipper and an agent. Suzanne is a newbie. Well, hey, I'm sure there are people here that could really pour into Suzanne depending on what she's looking to do. There's examples of multiple different investing strategies. If I connect Suzanne with one of you, right? I build social currency by being the social connector. And then that person that I'm connecting builds authority, credibility, social currency, because man, that Rich is such a great guy, right? Oh yeah, he's really great to come with contribution. He asks some questions. And so what we found is, and when I do that, what's the reward there? Well, Rich gets more opportunity, he gets some validation, he's got more credibility. Maybe we will start sharing resources, sharing opportunities. If you're new, one of the most effective things we can do is joint ventures. And so what I've found is when we explain the basis of the business to the newbie investor, we can turn that person into a bird dog. What I found as the leader is if I do my job and I'm effective in demonstrating value and showing that I care, I get those opportunities, right? I'd be curious to hear how many people here were investing before they got their license. So if I've got a new investor who's interested in running the same agent investor play we have, one of the earliest ways to get started is by turning that person into a bird dog, right? It's one of the best ways. I think people get lost sometimes in wholesaling and these other opportunities. Like the real way to build wealth without, if I don't have income to invest, is by finding opportunities and getting paid finder fees or becoming a joint venture of some kind or being allowed to participate on the back end. Those are a much higher likelihood of success over time than people that are able to come in and individually start, teach themselves, train themselves, become great prospectors, start wholesaling without any money, right? So the way that we ran this initially, that Rob and Mark did, is the way they would generate income is they had this great investor community they built for free, and then they would hold these weekend boot camps where for a day or 2 days they would go around and they'd say, hey, you pay us $1,000, $2,000, we'll teach you everything you need to know. They built out this curriculum. But here's the deal we're going to make with you. If you go out and you find a deal and work with us, we'll reimburse you all that money. I'm going to give you that money back. If you take my investing, I run the same thing with my people. Hey, if you want to learn how to invest and take our income flip, I think you should. The reason why we're having you do this is we want to see you take action. So here's what I'm going to do. If you do that, I'll reimburse you out of my commission because I want to see it's in your best interest. Because what I know is for that new investor, there's a big knowledge gap. And if I can help them close that knowledge gap, well, then we can transact and it benefits everybody. If the market gets larger, the more qualified investors we have in the market, right? The more capital, the more mind power, the more opportunity, right? The more the market's going to benefit. So who's got questions, by the way? Anyone? I've been kind of talking here for about 20 minutes. That's the newbie investor. We've got some new investors. Any questions about that? Any questions about how to add value to new investors in your network? So if you've got a real estate business, running investor community is also a really effective way to grow your real estate brokerage or your real estate team. You know, you're going to find talent. We get a lot of agents that come into our room. How do I work with the active income investor? This is one of the most challenging things you can do, especially if you're a real estate agent or you're leading this group. If you are hunting for deals for these people, you can totally go broke if you don't participate in the upside, right? Because what is everyone looking for? Everyone has the same buy box. I have been in this industry. I started in 2005. Everyone has the same buy box. I'm looking for a deal. Can you find me something that's going to give me, a 12 cap, or can you find me something that's going to give me that I could buy for 70% of ARV minus repairs, after repair value minus repairs? So how do I work with them actively? Well, I've got to consult with them on marketing and monetizing their leads and listings. So this is something that we just did. I talked about this. I've taken their orphan leads. That's my wholesaler. I'm going to convert those to listings and I'll pay them. They've got a licensee on their team. We're going to pay them a referral fee. If you've got somebody who's a rehabber or a flipper who's doing a lot, I can go work out a deal with them to list their properties and work out some sort of a discount perhaps for them to make it a win-win for both people. One of the things I can do is I can really focus myself on, we talked about this, creating a lead generation machine. If I want to go create the lead generation machine, then I can go generate the inventory and bring it to this pool of investors because I'm generating the opportunities. And then, we just got one today, just had a call with a wholesaler. He's brought me a commercial deal. Got some very good wholesalers in our market that bring us deals. What I found is interesting is the wholesalers locally have told me they have so many opportunities, they can't effectively market those to the audience, right? With a buy and hold investor, how am I going to work or partner with them? Where's the opportunity? Well, I can do a joint venture, or I can go ahead and I can syndicate a deal with them. Both of those are really effective. We often have people that are business professionals, W-2s. Got Jay here in the foreground. Jay has a W-2. He's got his license. I partnered with him. Abbott here is a wholesaler. That can be really effective. There are a lot of people that want to invest but don't have the time to invest. And I could partner with them to go build wealth if I have the know-how and the resources. And then where's the opportunity to work with private lenders and creative deal makers if I have them in the room? Honestly, a private money lender benefits more than almost anybody from an investing community. So we've been able to work out a partnership with the private money lenders in our community. And what we've been able to do effectively is they'll give us 25% of the points and fees that they charge when they originate a loan if it's a deal that we brought them from our network. If they're a creative deal maker, those are also people that love to partner on deals. They may have a subject to opportunity, they may need capital, they may come in. We've brought them in on deals that I want to do, like my creative deal makers. And when we found an opportunity, we want to take down an opportunity, and they've come through with the down payment or the renovation financing and kind of bridge the gap between what a hard money lender was willing to get and what it was going to take to get the deal done. What I have found is the more I can create a collaborative environment that comes from the leader, and the more I can sell the idea of co-opetition, right? We're not worried about the 100 people that are in my room. There's more than enough deals in Knoxville for these 100 people. They're not my competition. I can have a group of people where we're sharing resources, ideas, and the speed of the leader is the speed of the pack here. This is really important. People in the room need to transact on regular transactions, right? There's 6 D's when it comes to why people transact in real estate. Okay. Diapers, diplomas, diamonds, divorce, death, and deployment. Those things are happening all the time, right? People are having kids. People are graduating from school, graduating from high school, graduating from college. They're getting engaged and partnering. It's not working out. They're getting divorced. Everyone, right, is going to die one day. They're getting older, maybe downsizing, or they're getting deployed if they're in the military. So they're people that are always moving. And so those people in your room are a secret audience. Don't miss out on that are doing regular real estate transactions. That's the lowest hanging fruit in the room. That's been very effective for us and getting a return on my time. So the last thing is what does the real estate investor community allow us to do? What it's allowed Rob to do over the years is to grow additional businesses and revenue streams, right? So from growing Grid and growing a real estate team, now there is a property management arm, a construction arm, a acquisition business, a hard money business that is now a mortgage business. There have been investment partnerships. Rob's got a story. People come to his group for years and they sold their business and then came in and said, "Hey, you've done so much for me over the years. I would love to finance you." And he was getting 4% interest from these people because they just wanted to be in business with him, express their gratitude for all that he'd poured into them over the many years. We've also been able to expand our real estate business. So we started off running this Grid chapter here in Knoxville, did that for a couple years, was looking to expand my real estate business with my business partner. Looking at a model, I liked an expansion model because I didn't want to create all the systems and marketing and branding and back end myself. It's not what I'm passionate about. And we decided to go into business with Rob's real estate team. And so Kaza, his real estate team, has been able to expand around these different investment communities using those as a linchpin. And then, we've also grown many of these other Grid chapters that would count as an additional business. So just curious, we talk about those cornerstones. We've got some agents in the room. We got some long-term investors in the room. Who's looking to build some ancillary businesses to grow like a property management arm or something else? Who's looking to, hey, I want to grow a real estate community to generate a team? Like, what are y'all looking to accomplish? We've got 15 minutes. I'd love to answer some questions and make sure that I'm helping you get what you're looking for out of showing up on this call. While I'm waiting for the chat, here's the aha that we found, right? The realtor is the ringmaster in the circus, whether you want to be or not. And so what we've done is we built a platform where the agent investor is in the middle of that transaction. It's a business in a box for anyone that wants to build wealth through real estate. And what we found is by building this community, it puts us right at the heart of the ecosystem. What happens when you're at the heart of the ecosystem? You create opportunities to generate revenue and build wealth. So, how do we do this? Anybody want to know how? Right? We've talked a lot about like the nuts and bolts of this. But here's how. If you launch a grid community, right? Those hooks that we talked about immediately start attracting investors right away. What I've seen, it's a gradual process. And over time, now that I've been doing this 3 years, we do a monthly meeting where we do an educational component. And then we started doing a coffee during the day. So the last monthly meeting, it was 31 a month ago. This past month here in August, the beginning of the month, we had 31 new people, 41 new people at the beginning of August. And we did a coffee, we had 14 new people that are finding us through Facebook and the investor platform and seeking those out. What we also do, right, is we show up on social media. You're doing long form video content that I can turn into short form video content. Awesome. Love it, love it, love it. What part of the country are you in, Melissa? I'm curious. I'm curious to hear. It's a great story about being, you got your license so you can work that deal. And now you're already a top producer in your market center, which is great, right? Probably because, oh, yeah, so Melbourne. I went to Melbourne Central Catholic. I'm a hustler, baby. MCC hustlers. So my dad lives in the Atlantic. Yeah, Brevard is a great place. We should chat after this. So if you want to build a community, right, what we found is a couple things. I don't want to confuse this, but one of the most effective ways to build a following on social media is through video. One of the most effective video strategies is what we call long form video. So we have long form video on YouTube. I can take long form video and I can cut it into short digestible reels. We've all seen them. I'm sure I'm not the only one that gets locked right in the scroll. I see something, I get served another one of those, right? If you're doing social media, stories and posts are for your audience. Reels are for a general audience. That's the way those are served out to within the algorithm. So by running grid, what we've done is when I raise my hand as an expert, there are people that are already looking for that information. So that's what we found is people look for the information right off of there. Here's what it takes to run this thing. I run an investor meetup. It takes me 1.5 to 3 hours per month, right? We open our doors at 6. We start our intro at 6:30. Probably takes us about 15 minutes, and by 8 o'clock, we're trying to wrap it up. And then we're going to, do networking after that. Now Corey's going to stay for at least an hour till 9. So that's that 6 to 9 window. I typically, right, my little one is 16 now. She likes staying at mama's on grid nights. So I typically will stay there till 10 or 10:30. And that's it. It's one evening of the month. It's been very effective. And we ran that model for a couple of years before we did any sort of like add-ons with the coffee and things like that. For the coffee, I have them come to my office. So on the second Friday of the month, I have them come into my office. We have done them as a hybrid model. So we started off, I've seen some communities do them only online. It's okay. The in-person component, nothing, I think, is nothing beats being in person, I apologize. Um, so we did it as a hybrid model. So we just ran it in our market center. So if you're not a realtor, market center is just our real estate brokerage office. There was a training room. We did it in there. I set up a phone on an easel, right? And just live streamed it over Zoom when you could do that. But you could live stream it on Facebook. And then we got slick and started recording a backup with another phone, but really basic rudimentary stuff to get this thing started. Because what we found is people, the perception was as important as the reality. So streaming it online, people saw that video. They might not watch the whole thing, but over time there was this drumbeat, and this drumbeat showed us, this drumbeat edified us as an expert in the market. People just automatically assume, they may not even consumed our content, but they saw us showing up, educating on real estate investing for long enough that the assumption was, you guys are experts in the market. Now, when they showed up, we were experts in the market, right? And how, why was that? Well, there's a reason why I jumped in with Grid. Because when we jumped in, there's a back end that was very effective where uh, all of the courses that I may not have taught are already built out. So this is where it comes down to leverage, right? You can create your own 11 hooks. You can get on ChatGPT. You could work with somebody else, or there's a business in the box. If you think you're interested in doing what we do at Grid, we have all of these written out. We've got videos teaching and explaining exactly how to teach a topic, because maybe you don't know about how to buy and sell apartments or how to do private money. All of my media is already done. So all my graphics are already done for my events. And there's a library there where I give this to my virtual assistant to run it every single month. You know, you also have them all uploaded to YouTube. So all that kind of happens in the background. I'm a big believer in leverage and partnership. That's why I built an expansion real estate team. It's why I jumped in to teach a Grid chapter, because I just see the benefit of having a national brand. It was really effective for me. The second thing, right, is just the media and the marketing. Like Jess Swingle, who runs Grid, is an expert in branding and networking. You know, if you haven't caught her education here on Grid TV, go watch it. It's really great, and it can be as high concept as, you know, building your content pillars or doing brand building, or it could be as tactical as, hey, here is how to use selfie style video to, you know, get traction on social media. You know, I love it. She's doing that every single week, right? But I've got a really strong brand through Grid, and the strong brand has been really effective. You know, we've got all of our little marketing. I was looking for the rest of our swag here. Should have had it handy, but I've got great swag, and people are asking us to use it. So the marketing in the media is done for me as well, right? We're doing monthly masterminds with all of our Grid leaders, which have been really effective. This is probably my favorite. Kai Andrews is an expert in that short-term rental space. That was really fun. You know, I tried calling Kai to see what he would, you know, it's a couple thousand to get an hour with him. And Rob was able to get an hour with him, where we could go all learn from him directly. So that's been really effective. The other leaders in Grid, you know, I'm deliberate about putting myself in rooms where I'm going to benefit by being in the room. And then, you know, my Grid community pays for itself. Like, right, I've got sponsorships that cover the costs. So every month we're actually cash flow positive on the basis of the sponsorships that we've arranged. Who are the sponsors that are going to be most effective if you build a real estate community? Contractors are going to get a lot out of it. Title companies should be pulling transactions. Property managers, right? Should be. I went and had lunch with my property manager yesterday to talk to her about how to benefit from the group. She should be getting a lot of business from it. My private money lender. And then, because we've done a good job in being the co-opetition model, my vendors that work with me also get a lot out of it. So my traditional mortgage company, they're pulling business from the realtors in there, and they're pulling business from everyone that's running a BRRRR strategy, has a conventional refinance in that strategy, unless they're doing like a DSCR or something, because they're a little farther along. But most of my newer investors, they want to refinance with regular financing. They're pulling deals from it. My home warranty company, home inspector, got a landscaper. I have a landscaper. His whole life has changed from being a part of Grid. All those guys are giving us sponsorships. And then we've got some courses. So what's been effective for us is Grid has a couple courses right now. If you're an agent and you want to learn how to work with investors, we've really decided to be intentional about serving our community. Our community really have a huge heart for is the agent investor. The investor, yes, but if we serve the agent investor at a high level, we can serve the investor, right? Because that agent investor is the leader who's got a fiduciary responsibility. So we have a Grid certification that'll teach you exactly how to work with investors over 8 weeks. We also have a course for consumers, regular investors, the income flip. And that course in 8 weeks will also teach you how to work with investors. We've rolled out Income Flip Pro. So all of our education is always free. So if you're someone that's self-motivated, we've got over 300 videos on YouTube, right? You can hit us up. But if you're someone that likes to learn in a sequential curriculum-based, which for a lot of people I talk to, that makes a lot of sense for them, right? Hey, you should be going and investing in your education, spending $800 to $1,000 in education before you go spend $20,000 to $30,000 in a down payment, right? That Income Flip Pro course, we have rolled out because of demand, a monthly community where you can come in, get poured into. We've got training multiple times a week, and we're going to have accountability. So, we talked about this, building that lead generation machine and taking those actions. There is a game plan to building the wealth machine on the investing side, and we're going to help walk you through those. So if that's something you want to be a part of, right, there'll be some information. Jess has launched all this. We've been working so hard on this, and all of this will be live. We'll send you some details in the follow-up email from here. So why are we doing this? We want to have 1,000 chapters of Grid around the globe. You may not know this if you know Rob. Rob grew up in a civil service family, lived all over the country, lived in Latin America, lived in Australia. So I've had some really interesting conversations. I actually have to talk to someone in Rome today. And then, Rob's got a trip to Australia. He's going to talk to some friends there about Australia, Fiji, some other locations. We're looking to expand Grid. And why do that? Because we want to see people get financially free. And we know that the way to do that is to build a massive community. And the bigger the community is, the more opportunities there are for all of us. And that's what I found has been really interesting and effective is there are more opportunities for us to grow because I've got this national community. There are a couple other groups around, and I've really partnered with the local groups, and I highlight the local groups. However, they don't have that national component where you're in the burbs and you're in DC, and you may be in an area where you can't buy and hold, where prices are high, but you're getting the same training and you have the same values as our community here in Knoxville, or as a community in Edwardsville, Illinois, and maybe your people should be investing out of market. And we've got some really cool ways for our leaders to be reimbursed for making that connection, which I'm really excited about. So if you got any questions, feel free to reach out. If you want to know more about this, it's very simple. gridinvestor.com, click apply. On there, on the website, it also very succinctly explains what the requirements are, what we're looking for. But it really starts as simple as you're already a part of our investor community. We love that. Pour in the Facebook group. If you want more one-on-one training, maybe that looks like the income flip. If you become a Grid leader, you get access to all of these things. You have licenses for your team. It can be really effective. But we're here to take you on a sequential journey, just like the people in your group, right? We walk before we run, and we get into conversation so we can get into connection, right? So then eventually that converts into an opportunity for both of us. So appreciate you all coming out today. I'm gonna drop my contact information here directly in the chat. If you've got any questions, if there's anything I can do with you, I do have a great national network. More than happy to make a connection for you anywhere in the country. It's one of my favorite things to do. We've got 40,000 members in Grid all across the country, which leads to us having a lot of resources, a lot of opportunity, a lot of brain power, and there are a whole host of people just like yourself, real estate investors who are interested in connection and pouring into other people. There are so many people that are motivated by mentorship and giving back. Appreciate you all. Be excellent. And I love Knoxville deals. So if anyone's interested, Knoxville is one of the hottest appreciation markets in the country. We've got an affordability crisis, and we've got, so rents are unfortunately very high. Fortunately, high if you are an investor. We're going to be building homes here for a decade. You know, we're 20K short. We're growing at twice the rate of the national economy, and we're right next to the Smokies. We get 15 million visitors. It's one of the best short-term rental investor markets in the country. So if you want to chat about where we're seeing opportunity around the country, because we talk to people all over the country, also happy to have that conversation. Be excellent, y'all. I'll see you soon.